Andre, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing fantastic. Happy to be here.
Yes, thank you for being with us. Really appreciate you being on here.
My pleasure.
Andre, you and I have had some discussion. In fact, I did an event a couple of weeks ago, and we asked you to come up on the stage and share your story, and it was absolutely incredible. You're in the collision business, so if somebody wrecks their car, they come to your place and get an estimate to get their car fixed and perhaps get their car fixed with you. And probably most of us on this call have had an experience before with a company like yours. Now, you started with Red Rock Collision about 15 months ago. Is that right?
Yes, I've been with the company about 15 months.
Okay. And so you started there 15 months ago. And when you got there, you brought with you what you call a business philosophy. I like what you call it. I gotta read this. This is exactly your words. The business philosophy of the three-legged stool. So Andre has a business philosophy of the three-legged stool that you actually brought to this collision business with you. Can you share with us what that is?
Sure. Basically, it's the three things: deliver a great product or service, or sometimes it's both. Have great communication, not only with your people, but also with your customers and clients. And then also have a way to appreciate your customers and even your employees.
Okay, so pretty simple. So three things. If you're not taking notes, take notes, because this is good stuff. The three-legged stool is provide an impeccable service, which obviously you do there, and communicate not only with your customers but your employees too. You know, all this applies to both customers and employees. So have a great product, communicate, impeccable communication, and the third one is show appreciation. Now, when you got started there, you know, that company was doing a couple of those things. Based on what you told me is they were pretty light in the appreciation area. And when you came there 15 months ago, you incorporated an appreciation program with that company. So I want you to share that with us. In fact, what you told me, what you shared with me before, is that there's really two primary types of people that you follow up with. One is somebody that comes in and gets an estimate, and the other is somebody that you actually do business with. Can you share with us that process of what you do with those people?
Well, as most people know, most people in the body shop, they're instructed to go get 3 estimates. So that's exactly what people do. They'll come see us. If we've never met them before, or they're not already a prior customer, they'll come in and ask for an estimate. And if they do not schedule with us, in other words, the job has not been captured for whatever reason, I will send them a thank you card. And the thank you card just simply says, hey, thanks for coming in to see us at Red Rock Collision. We appreciate you. I don't ask for anything. And that's one of the things that I send out when they come in and they just get an estimate.
Okay, now I want to make sure that everybody hears your story right. So these are people that have not done business with you yet.
Right. This is a new customer, a new prospect, as we call them sometimes. It's nobody we've done business with before, but somebody that could be a customer but hasn't I don't want to say signed up, but has not signed a repair order to have their car repaired.
So you told me a story about a lady that came in and you sent an estimate to. That's a great story. If you recall that, can you share that with us?
Sure. We had a gal who, again, was getting her 3 estimates. And she came in and I wrote her an estimate. She already had her other 2 estimates. So she left, and I followed up with a phone call with no answer. She didn't answer the phone. But I did send her a thank you card to say, hey, thanks for coming in. And about 3 or 4 days later, she called. Actually, it was set up 7 days later. The following week, she called back and said, hey, I'd like to go ahead and schedule the repair. And I'm like, fantastic. And so we got her Subaru scheduled in. And before she hung up the phone, she says, hey, I want you to know something. And I said, well, what's that? She goes, well, I want you to know that you were not the least expensive estimate. But the reason I'm scheduling and I want to have my car fixed with you is because you sent me that thank you card. And I really appreciated that. And if you are that thoughtful to do such a thing, send me a card, then you know what? I really need to have my car fixed with you guys. And so she did.
Wow, that's a great story. Smart people have done studies, and they've determined that less than 3% of people actually send a thank you card to people they may be doing business with. And the number one way to get people to want to come back to you is a thank you card. So the number one way to generate generate people that like your business, want to come back, is a thank you card, but almost nobody does it. So that's a great story. And you not only send thank you cards to people that you do business with, but people you don't do business with. And I think it's just a lost art. I mean, most people don't ever get treated that way. And so it really does set you apart. So it's a great, great story. In fact, and the other thing is your customers. So if somebody go through the process, tell us how you follow up with those folks.
So we'll do the repair, and naturally we have pictures of the car before the loss, before we actually fix it. And then when they come to pick up the car, of course, I take pictures of the car when it's done. And so when it's done, I like to get a picture of the customer standing in front of their car, done and all repaired. And then they get in their car and they leave. And then immediately I go in the office and I send them hey, thank you for your business. We really appreciate you choosing and trusting Red Rock Collision. And so in the card, there'll be the before, when it was damaged. And then, of course, them with a picture of them with the car done. And we also send a little gift too. It's usually some goodies or some brownies or something to really let them know that, hey, we appreciate them, and not just saying thank you once we give them the keys and they leave, but really letting them know that we appreciate them as a customer and want to continue to do business with them. And they always do with us. And with the what happens is they end up calling back about 4 days later and saying, wow, thank you so much for the gift. The brownies were fantastic. Thank you for the card. We will never use anybody else. You guys are awesome. And it's just the feedback is fantastic.
So, okay, great stories. And so, but you're talking about, there's a lot of people listening right now that are probably thinking, oh my goodness, he sends a real greeting card with a before picture and an after picture. How in the world do you do that? I mean, so tell us a little bit about the process of how you do it. Obviously, you use the system that we have here. Just tell us the process of how long it takes you to actually do it.
So what we do is we use my phone. We have an app, as you mentioned, and we utilize the app, and we take photos with my phone on the app, and it goes right into the system. And I go in there, and I already have their address in there because we already kind of get ready for them because we know we're going to send every customer a thank you card, and we send them a card, and it's a customized card, and it takes about 30 seconds. Wow. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot of time, and it makes just such a huge impact, and everything done from my phone. And then I go in the office and I just hit the submit button.
Well, it's incredible, and I know you've gotten some great results. You not only do this in your business, you do this card thing in your everyday life. You mentioned to me that once you start using this app that you talked about, you use it in your business. Obviously, you gave us 2 examples of that, but you use it in everyday life. In fact, you told me a story about going to a restaurant once. You got to share that. It was a great story.
Yeah, this was a couple of months ago. We went to a restaurant, and it had big windows up front. We were sitting up front, and we're looking out the window. It's me and my son Frankie, and there's this older couple. The old man had fallen, and he dropped his takeout food and everything. And naturally we were like, oh my gosh, we need to go out there and help this guy. So me and my son ran out there. We helped pick him up off the ground, get his food in the car, and he was like, thank you so much. And so we go back in the restaurant because we were still waiting on our food, and went in there to eat. Well, the owner of the restaurant, her name happens to be Susie, she sees all this unbeknownst to us and says, hey, you guys, I seen what you did. That was pretty cool. You know what? Dessert's on me. So she brings out dessert, and we all have ice cream sundaes or whatever. And then so I just take a picture of it, and I get her address, and I get her card, business card, and I send her a thank you card and just say, hey, thanks a lot for the dessert. And so about a month and a half later, she comes in and she goes, hey, I wrecked my, now bear in mind, I didn't know this was her because, you know, I forget and I'm old. So she comes in and she goes, I need an estimate on my car. We write an estimate. I schedule her in, and it's to the tune of about $6,000 this repair. And she's about ready to walk out the door. And this always happens to me. They say, hey, I want you to know something. And I'm like, what's that, Susie? She goes, now, bear in mind, I had forgotten up until this point that I've done this, that I sent her the card. She goes, I just want you to know the reason I'm here is because you sent me that thank you card. And at this point, I still wasn't sure. And she goes, remember, you know, at the restaurant? And I'm like, and then I remembered. I was like, oh, that's right. She goes, yeah, you sent me that thank you card for giving you the dessert. And I just, you know, that's why I'm here. And that made an impact on me. And that just really, I thought that was really cool. And that's why I want to do business with you.
Wow.
And my heart just sunk. And I thought, well, that's fantastic. You know, so you don't turn this stuff off, as I heard somebody say one time. And it just, everything matters. You know, every little thing you do matters. And it may take weeks, months, but you don't sit there and wait for it. But when it happens, wow, it's fantastic.
So relationship marketing is not something you do. It's who you are. I mean, you share that with your stories. You can't turn it off now. It's like it's just what you do all the time.
Yes.
What you send out is what comes back to you. And I love your stories because, you know, they really convey that. Now, just final thought. There's a lot of people on this call that are going, okay, Andre, they're awesome stories, cool. You make people feel good. That's great. But I'm in a business. I need to know, you know, what does this mean? What has this done for your business? So share with our audience what this activity in the last 15 months has done for your business.
Well, along with everything that, you know, you have to get everything right. The first processes have to be, to get to level one, you got to make sure you do everything right. You got to repair the car right. You have to have that communication. But this third piece is so important because it really just nails the deal as far as getting people to be your loyal raving fans. And so what it's done for us, and answer to the question, is we have grown tremendously in the past 15 months. We quantify it by going back and looked at our numbers. We have 2 shops. In this shop here, we've increased sales by 60% in one shop.
Wow.
And it's just, you know, we've had to increase staff. We've also, the car count has gone up. The way that we satisfy our customers, our what we call CSI, Customer Service Index, has just skyrocketed. And I have to attribute it to this system, Send Out Cards, that we've been using.
Excellent. Well, thank you. I appreciate the stories that you've shared with us today, Andre.